Welcome back to the Nutrition Made Simple podcast, powered by Healthy Steps Nutrition. At Healthy Steps Nutrition, we believe something as fundamental as nutrition shouldn't be complicated, which is why we focus on a simple, habit-based approach. We know that helping you become the best and healthiest version of yourself isn't just about what you eat or going to the gym a few hours a week. We focus on a holistic framework addressing stress management, mindset, lifestyle, sleep, support system, and of course, exercise and nutrition. My name is Nicole Coyne, and I'm one of the dietitians and the founder of Healthy Steps Nutrition, CrossFit HSN, and HSN Mentoring. I'm also the author of the Healthy Kids Cookbook, 100% kid-approved recipes the entire family will love. You can find it on Amazon. In this podcast, I'm going to teach you how to take one step at a time to making health a way of life. Before we dive into today's content talking about reversing and preventing chronic disease, make sure you get a pen now. Lots of good nuggets here today. I want to have a special announcement for you. This week, we are hosting a free 5-day challenge. While we're in the middle of it, I can guarantee you're going to get amazing value out of the last few days. So what do you need to do to join our free challenge? Click the link in the show notes, and all you need to do is join this private Facebook group. This challenge, we are giving out simple tips to help people take control of their health. You know, over the past few years, we've built an amazing podcast platform. We've been spreading the word, but I want to connect with you on a more deeper level. We are hosting live video sessions every single day this week, talking about things you can do to take control of your health, giving you simple, actionable tips and hacks to make 2023 the best year ever. I don't want you to miss this amazing free challenge. Best of all, it is completely free. So all you need to do is stop the podcast right now, push pause, click the link in the show notes, and register. You will be prompted to join our Facebook group. I cannot wait to see you inside. If you already missed the live sessions, it's okay. They are recorded and put in the platform, so you're going to be able to see all of the previous days of the free challenge. So click the link in the show notes and join our free challenge. Can't wait to see you there. This episode is a little bit different. I'm going to talk about something I am so passionate about: preventing and reversing chronic disease. I think to understand why I'm so passionate about it, you have to understand the backstory. So when I was younger, my mom was diagnosed with cancer. We completely changed our diet and our lifestyle, and she actually lived a lot longer than the doctor said she would. I knew that nutrition was important from a young age. And ultimately, my mom did lose that battle with cancer, but I got to have a lot of extra really quality years with her. And so when I went to school to go to college, I went to University of Florida, go Gators, and I started cheering for University of Florida. And, I think a lot of people that come into the nutrition field, the fitness field, they have their own journey with fitness and nutrition before they actually become an instructor or dietitian to help other people. And my journey with nutrition, well, it started with my mom, really started in college. There was a little bit of pressure to look a certain way in a uniform. We were on TV often. We were doing different things. And, I remember having some crazy eating habits. And by what I mean by crazy is I would be eating minimal to think that I would have the energy and the fuel to support long practices and long games. And it wasn't just me on our team. There were a lot of us that had some disordered eating routines, habits. And our coach, thankfully, sent us all to a dietitian. And I remember walking into that office, and it was like an aha moment. Like, holy cow, I can do nutrition. I can teach people how to eat. Like, I need to learn how to eat well and fuel my body and kind of get these things in my head, the mindset of what fuel is and what food is. It is fuel. Into a good solid place so that I can help myself and then end up helping others. But I was so excited leaving that office, like, man, I can do this for a living. So fast forward, I go to school to become a dietitian. And when I graduated, I thought I would be able to go right into that side, doing sports nutrition, working for a college, or doing something private practice like what I do today. And what I quickly found out is like, nope, all of the teachers and everyone said, you need to work in a hospital. You need to go into clinical. So I go into clinical and I worked in a hospital. And that's what actually brought me down to South Florida, where I ended up meeting my husband. And I remember working in the hospital and feeling so excited at the beginning, like, man, I'm going to really be able to help people. But once I started working in the hospital, I was so frustrated. And I can't even describe how frustrated it was because I was forced to do things that I didn't really believe in. We were forced to give Ensure, which is loaded with sugar, to people who weren't eating properly. And like when we look at the root causes of chronic disease, many of them are related to irregular blood sugar, yet we were forcing these sugary drinks down people's throats if they didn't eat the hospital food, which honestly wasn't that great. So I'm having to do that. And then teaching people how to manage their diabetes and how people were eating with diabetes was unbelievably frustrating. You just had to have people have less than 60 grams of carbohydrates, but they could eat whatever they wanted. They could have 4 juices because that's 60 grams of carbs, when in reality that would spike the heck out of their blood sugar, and the doctors and nurses would be playing catch up all day trying to get their blood sugar under control. And I wasn't really teaching people how to make meaningful change. And if I'm honest, they weren't really looking for it. They were just looking for a pill to make it a magic pill to make everything go away. And the problem with that is those pills had side effects, which caused them to take another pill and another pill, and then caused them to not really feel their best. And most of these people didn't even know how their bodies were designed to feel. And I remember working in the hospital, and there was one gentleman that kept coming in because of uncontrolled diabetes. And there was only minimal time that I could really spend seeing people. I would have 30, 40 people that I would be visiting a day, depending on how long they were there and how much we needed to follow up with them. And this guy comes in with uncontrolled diabetes, and he has an infection in his toe. And then that infection causes him to get his toe cut off. And then the next month he comes in, we had to cut off his foot. Then it was below the knee. Then it was above the knee. He ended up with both legs getting amputated because he never took the time and interest in getting his blood sugar under control. And I'm like, man, what am I doing here? Like, this isn't what I thought dietitian would be. And, in the midst of all of that, I started Healthy Steps Nutrition, and we slowly started building and building. But I am beyond passionate about helping people understand how to prevent and reverse chronic disease. So I guess the first thing that, now that you know the story of why I'm so passionate about it, I truly believe that our healthcare system is broken. We don't have a healthcare system. We have a sick care system that just provides more medications and not actually treating the root cause of these chronic diseases, which a lot of it can be controlled by you. I was looking up some research for our coaching program, and there was a research study done with tens of thousands of people. And they looked at the people that lived on average 9 extra chronic disease-free years, 9 extra years. Like, imagine, especially thinking like those 9 years are at the end of their life where they're probably not working, or maybe working a little bit, but they're living their best years and being able to explore and do all these things. 9 extra chronic disease-free years. What did these people have in common? And there were 4 things that these people had in common. And I really want to focus on those things today in this podcast, because if I could equip you with some knowledge and understanding on how to prevent and reverse chronic disease, I feel like that's a huge win to start off a year understanding what you need to do to not just lose weight, but truly become the best version of yourself. So what were those 4 things? The first thing was a good BMI, body mass index. And while I don't believe body mass index, BMI, is the best indicator of health status, for most people, it's a pretty good indicator. And if you are like Tim Tebow, or one of those people that has a ton of muscle mass, okay, let's look at your body fat percentage in conjunction with your BMI. But for the majority of our population, our BMI isn't completely skewed because we have a super high muscle mass. So we'll just go there. But BMI was the number 1 indicator above all other things. So if you were in a healthy weight, your likelihood of living 9 extra chronic disease-free years goes up exponentially. So BMI was the first thing. And then the other 3 things were pretty comparable: daily activity, so exercise, daily movement, The next thing was alcohol intake. And the poor thing was smoking. So smoking, alcohol, daily movement, but the biggest indicator was BMI. So how do you take that information and start making some changes for yourself? I think the first fundamental thing you need to do is figure out, why are you doing it? Like, making changes, making healthy habits is hard. Changing 40, 50, 60 years of habits and mindset is hard. Why are you doing it? Why is it important to you? And really think about that for some time. Like, why are you going to do these things? And when you start asking yourself why, or tell me a little bit more about that, just start writing it down and just write down the things that come to mind. And the next question I think you should ask yourself is, how will this impact the things that I love, the people I love, what I love to do? How will it impact my surroundings? How will it impact my work, my quality of life, my sleep, the person that I want to become, right? So I think it's important to not just have a goal, focus on a number. While yes, goals should be specific and objective, we also need to understand the why behind the goal. And I think this is a big piece that so many people miss, right? If we're just talking about surface level goals, but not understanding why are we doing it, when the going gets tough, it's going to be easier for you to fall off and you're not going to get back on track. So figure out why you are doing it. And for a lot of our clients, when I talk to them, and this is the first step of the process with our coaching program, and all of the Healthy Steps nutrition coaches do this, when we start asking these questions to clients, losing the 50 pounds, losing the 100 pounds starts coming in like, hey, I want to break the cycle in my family. Like, I look at my parents, my grandparents, and all the people in my family that have chronic disease, and I don't want to go down that path. And more importantly, I don't want my kids to go down that path. And when you think about the impact of your habits and how they impact and the decisions that the next generation makes, it becomes even more powerful for you to want to do these things. So when I talk to clients, they tell me like, okay, yes, I want to break that cultured cycle that's in my family. But then, hey, I want to actually be a better leader. I want to be a better boss. I don't sleep well. I don't feel confident in my skin. I want to feel confident. Like, I want to feel like the best version of myself. And in order to do that, I know I need to take care of my body. I need to take care of my health. And in order to do that, I need to eat like a healthy person. I need to move. I need to have a mindset that truly believes in wanting to do all of these things, and a positive mindset. So I need to sleep well, I need to move, I need to eat well, and I need to have a positive mindset. And those are the 4 pillars that we really focus on at Healthy Steps Nutrition, right? We talk about support system, and yes, that is a huge piece of the puzzle. But like, the 4 things that you can focus on every single day is making sure that you get good quality sleep, making sure that you're moving daily. There's so much research around chronic disease and daily movement, being chronic disease free, preventing, reversing diabetes, which uncontrolled blood sugar is related to 9 of the 10, related to or causes 9 of the 10 leading causes of leading causes of death. 9 of the 10 leading causes of death are related to or caused by elevated blood sugar. Now, what causes your blood sugar to be elevated? Stress can definitely increase your blood sugar. Lack of sleep also has an impact on your blood sugar. Your hormones has an impact on your blood sugar. Medications have an impact on your blood sugar. But the biggest thing that impacts blood sugar is what you eat. And there's 3 macronutrients, right? There's protein, carbs, and fats. And when we look at what macronutrient, those are the nutrients that provide us calories, what macronutrient impacts elevated blood sugar the most, it's carbohydrates. And your body needs carbs. We want to have some carbohydrates, but we want to have them in moderation. And the problem that causes so much chronic disease is that we're over consuming processed carbohydrates and sugar, and they're so addicting. We get more and more and more. When you go out to eat, we just were at our family's house in Tampa for the holidays, and we went to this restaurant, and the restaurant was great. I'm not going to name the name, but we go to the restaurant and all the kids order, and a few of them ordered pancakes. And we get the pancakes, and it's a stack of 3 giant pancakes loaded with syrup, loaded with chocolate stuff on it, loaded with an extra side of syrup, and then a ton of whipped cream on the top. That is like hundreds, I'm sure, of grams of sugar and carbs in one sitting that these kids would have eaten if we didn't scrape the pancakes, take the syrup off, and then, of course, pair it with some protein and have them just have half of that. But what happens most of the time is we're eating that, but then we're loading it with juice or other types of drinks, and we're just over consuming sugar and processed carbohydrates. And what happens is our energy level goes up and crashes and our mood changes, and it's not good for our bodies. It causes our pancreas to go on overdrive to secrete insulin, which is what causes our blood sugar to go back down and stabilize to normal. And let's talk about what can you do to set yourself up for success when we talk about managing your blood sugar. Because if we think about reversing and preventing chronic disease, one of the key things that we need to focus on in regards to BMI and blood sugar control is the food that we eat. So how can you, couple tips to control blood sugar? And I'll link additional episodes in the show notes of this episode so you can get more information about blood sugar control. But a couple things that you can do. Number one is pair protein, carbs, and healthy fats together. Protein has this amazing ability to help stabilize our blood sugar when we're pairing it with carbohydrates. So having protein with their carbs will really help you be able to stabilize your blood sugar. It won't go up as fast because your body has to break down the fat and the protein as well as the carbohydrates. It slows down the process, which is a good thing. So pairing that together, being mindful of how much carbs you have in one sitting. So when we look at what your meals should look like, have half your plate non-starchy vegetables, load up on those first, then eat your protein and then save your starch for the end. Keep it simple. And the third thing I would recommend that you do is start educating yourself on the foods that you eat. Look up the nutrition facts labels, how much carbohydrates, how much sugar is in the things that you're eating. I would venture to say that most people have no idea the amount of sugar that we consume on a daily, weekly, annual basis. The average American consumes 150 pounds of sugar per year. That is a lot of sugar. It breaks down to about 48 teaspoons per day. That is a lot of sugar. The American Heart Association recommends no more than 9 teaspoons for men, 6 teaspoons for women. That is a lot more that we're actually consuming. And why are we doing that? How are we doing that? It's because companies realize how addicting sugar is. And the more we have, the more we crave. And the more we crave, the more food we buy of theirs that is loaded with sugar. So be mindful of that. Just start looking at nutrition facts labels and eat whole foods first. First core principle of Healthy Steps Nutrition, whole foods first. All right, so let's go back to preventing and reversing chronic disease. Now, when you think about chronic disease, it's a disease that, definition of chronic disease is a disease that requires medical oversight for a year or longer. So it's not getting sick and then getting medicine and getting better. It's, man, I have something that I have to go back to the doctor every single year because I have something that my body's not doing well, or I am not able to make enough insulin in my body, which is pre-diabetes, diabetes. So many people are pre-diabetic or diabetic. So many people. So if we look at chronic disease, how many people have chronic disease? 60% of the population has at least one chronic disease, and 40% have 2 or more. They come in pairs, they come in groups. If you're struggling with diabetes, likely if you have diabetes long enough, you're going to struggle with other things like neuropathy. I was in contact recently with someone that we're pretty close with, and she was wearing a continuous glucose monitor. And I honestly didn't know that she had diabetes. I guess we're not that close, but we were talking about her diabetes, and she was saying how it's super uncontrolled. And I said, how long has it been uncontrolled? And she said, it's been a while. And I said, well, you got to get it under control, because going back to the story I shared at the beginning, like that is where you'll end up. You'll end up in the hospital with amputations and losing your eyesight and tingling in your feet and your hands. I'm like, I don't want to see that for you. Like, you have to get control. Either focus on it now and set yourself up for success, or you're going to pay for it later. And if you say like, Nicole, I don't have time for that. Well, if you don't make time now, you're going to have to make time later. You're going to have to spend extra money later. You're going to have to spend resources later. Your insurance and the medications that you have are going to be through the roof. Like, spend time now, take control of your health now. So we talked about what she should do to start controlling her blood sugar. And it was simple. Hey, let's eat more whole foods first. Let's pair protein, carbs, and fats together. Whenever you eat a meal, eat vegetables first. Load up on those first. Have protein instead of going to the processed carbohydrates and sugary things right away that are the easy, convenient options. Go to whole foods first. Let's start looking at what are you consuming that's loaded with sugar that you don't even realize. We identified quite a few things, and she started getting her blood sugar under control, under control, under control. Her A1C started getting better. Your A1C is your 3-month average of your blood sugar. And if you're thinking, Nicole, I haven't gotten blood work in a while, it might be time for you to just do a checkup in the new year. See where you're at, get a baseline so that you can know and have some objective data to identify, where am I on this sickness, fitness, wellness spectrum? Like, where am I at? And if you're closer to the sickness side, what are you doing to get to the wellness side, the fitness side? What are you doing to take control of your health? So as I wrap up this podcast episode, I just want to encourage you to understand, like, hey, you can prevent, you can reverse chronic disease, not all chronic disease. And don't take this as medical advice, please. If you're looking for help with your nutrition, like contact, and you have a chronic disease, contact us at Healthy Steps Nutrition. We can help you. We have registered dietitians on staff that can help you. So, take support when you need it, and acknowledge, like, hey, I need some help. That's okay. That's what we're here for. But I just want you to understand, like, hey, you can take control of your health, and it doesn't have to be super crazy and drastic. Like, start off with just one step at a time. Stay consistent with that one thing and then focus on the next thing. But the truth is, most people don't know what to focus on first. So if you're unsure of what to focus on first, start off with those 3 nutrition principles at Healthy Steps Nutrition. Eat more whole foods. Focus on the plate method. Focus on balance. Pair protein, carbs, and fats together. Limit the amount of processed junk, sugar, processed carbohydrates that you're eating. Because at the end of the day, if you're not taking control of your health, you're going to be forced to take medicines and all these other things, and you're not going to truly be able to live out your full purpose in life. So I hope this is encouraging you to understand, like, hey, you can do things no matter where you are. If you are breathing right now, which you are, if you're listening to this podcast, you can take control of your health just one step at a time. You can prevent chronic disease. And how do you do that? By prioritizing yourself and prioritizing your health and focusing on your nutrition, your sleep. Sleep is so important. Focusing on daily movement and your mindset. All 4 of those pillars are vital to helping you become the best and healthiest version of yourself. So next week on the podcast, we are interviewing Bethany Ream. She is the nutrition coach and CrossFit gym owner at CrossFit Worcester. She just became a Healthy Steps nutrition coach, and we're going to be talking about an identity piece of setting goals and how to set identity goals and habits so that you can become the person that you want to be. I hope that you subscribe to this podcast. If you are loving this podcast, please leave us a review. It really helps this podcast reach more people. And we will see you back here next week.